How much do tradies make? It's quite a common question. I see it in stupid articles on the internet, surveys done, newspapers, high pages, people like that, doing surveys and putting out these kind of strange ideas of how much tradies actually make. And I put quote marks around make just then. And I'm going to try and investigate this for you just now, right? Because there's quite a lot going on. I'll try to make it all clear. It starts when these articles and these surveys come out about what different tradies make. And the ranges are quite large, They'll say electricians make between 60 and 150,000 a year. And between 50 and 120 bucks an hour. And I just think that doesn't really tell anybody anything. It's not clear who's making what. They seem to mix up charge out rates and how much profit people make and how much wages people are paid. So I thought I would go through those and spell it out. And the reason I'm doing this, because I suspect you kind of understand, but the reason I'm doing this now is partly because it's fun and partly because I think I want to help you be clear when you're challenged on your price in particular, the difference between charge out rate and what people actually make, especially when somebody who doesn't really get it, right? You can explain it to them, and I hope this helps. So charge out rate, as you know, this is the hourly rate the business charges for its skilled tradespeople. If the business does fixed price quoting, and it should, this might not be very visible because it might be wrapped up in a quote for a job or even a price list. But an hourly charge out rate is in there, even if it's wrapped. And in Australia, an hourly charge out rate for a plumber or an electrician is between 90 and 120 an hour. Carpenters 80 or 85, a bit more for project managers and site managers. Gardeners and painters seem to be a bit less, 75 or 80. Right, so we're having charge out rates around that number. When I'm trying to understand what a rate really means, I like to think of it in terms of what someone can make in a year, because $100 an hour is meaningless if you only work 10 hours a week, right? If you can only be charged out 10 hours a week. So let's translate everything back to annual income, annual making, right? If one of your employees, or you, is charged out at $100 an hour, they can potentially make 100 by 40 hours a week, which is 4,000 a week, by 52 weeks a year, can't they? They can potentially make that, and that would be 208,000. Well, no, they can't really, can they? Because nobody is ever charged out every hour of every day of every week of every year. Nobody can sustainably work that many hours on the tools every week. We have smoko, we have days off, we have holidays, we have public holidays, we have sick days. We fuck about a bit as well, don't we? There's time spent on toolbox talks, in traffic, talking to customers, buying materials, all sorts of stuff. So even if your charge out rate is 100 per hour, it's a mistake to think that that's $4,000 a week every week. So if we correct for our tradies' holidays, it's 4 weeks or 20 days, it's public holidays, it's sick days, she's probably making, our tradie, more like 7 hours by 5 days by 100 times 44 weeks, which is 154,000. And then if we correct again for that time wasted, that fuck about time, that's time spent not on the tools, I normally say 80% charged of your week is reasonable. So 80% of that, we're down to 123,000. It's still not bad money for that tradie. Now, that's charged money, right? $123,000 a year is a reasonable estimate for how much a tradesperson can bring into a business once holidays and things are accounted for. It's still not that bad money if that person is self-employed. However, they're going to have to pay for insurance and vehicle and tools and membership of their professional organisation, etc. Right? But they do also get a charge, a margin on materials. I'm going to take a guess here and say that a self-employed tradie could make around 125k once everything is paid, and if they're busy most of the time. And please don't ring me up or put comments in going, I make more than that or less than that, because I have just pulled these numbers out of my bum. Right? They're not far off, I don't think. If they're working for someone else, right, maybe they're working for you, then they make you that 123,000 from their labour, if we apply the same rules of thumb. And you probably pay them between 60 and 100,000 on it, don't you? You probably make margin on the materials on top of the money you make on their labour, that 123k, minus what you pay them. And of course you have business expenses as well, your vehicles, your insurances, your marketing, your admin people, premises, software, accountant, bookkeeper, business coach. So for your tradesman that makes you 125k a year, you might be making 25k on top of that person, right? That's a 20% net margin. And I'm winging it, remember? These are numbers, I've used simple numbers that I can add up in my head as I wrote this morning. And the numbers vary a lot across the different businesses, so please don't ping me on the numbers. But a tradie doesn't really make 100 an hour, 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, right? So a tradie doesn't really make 100 an hour. 125,000 per year for a busy self-employed tradie seems more realistic to me. It's less for somebody employed. They'll be getting a wage of between 60 and 100,000. And for you as a business owner, it's a bit more murky, isn't it? Say you're making that 125k on your own and you start growing and hiring, you might start making 25k off every tradesperson you hire, but supporting them and doing the sales and the admin, that all takes time. So you can either spend less time on the tools yourself and make less money yourself, or you can work more hours for the same money, which is the same thing, or you can start hiring people to work in the office and do some of that support, and that costs you money. So whichever way, you kind of reduce your effective income, right? So as a trades business owner, you don't start making much more money when you start hiring people and growing. And this is part of that growth path I've talked about before. By my little made up maths, 5 tradespeople kind of replaces your wage, and you can afford to be off the tools full time and supporting them, or on the tools a bit and have someone in the office, right? So I'm thinking it's not until you've got 5 tradespeople that you're starting to see the joy in having grown your business. Growing it to 2 and 3 and 4 might leave you, a bit better off, but not feeling the real benefit. Now, everyone's business is different. You all pay people different amounts. You all charge different amounts. You all have different margins. But this number isn't too far from the truth either, is it? I've worked with a lot of trades businesses over the last few years. It's not far from the truth. If a self-employed tradie makes 125k and an employed tradie between 60 and 100, then a trade business owner should be on around 125k. That's your money, or your salary. It's your profit, or your salary combined, or drawings, or profit. But that probably won't grow much until you have a few people on board, 5 or more by my little bullshit maths. So next time a customer, or some smart ass on the internet, calls out your massive hourly rate and is secretly comparing it to the shitty one that they get, but remembering that they get 40 hours a week, 52 weeks a year, remember this, okay? And I hope that was helpful. That was a short informational video about knowing your numbers, which is an important part of growing your business. Past where you're making more money than you did when it was just you, right? Which is really what we're talking about here. That's what I'm a business coach for. I'm for people who want to go through that difficult period of having a few people when it's not much better and go past that and make more money. Who want to scale a bit. Don't rely on my numbers. I was approximating. Do your own numbers. We'll put your numbers into those calculations. I'll help you if I'm your business coach. I'll help you know your numbers and build your business properly using systems and structure, including for your numbers. And if you think business coaching might be for you, book a 10-minute chat, talk to me. We've got a process to go through before we decide whether you're doing it or not. Or, as usual, come to a Tools Down workshop. See you later.